Chancellor with distinguished guests, members of the audience please rise and remain for ASEAN anthem. His Excellency Mr. Vanu Gopala Menon, High Commissioner, Republic of Singapore, Yang Berbahagia Profesor Dr. Noor Azlan Ghazali, Vice Chancellor, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, His Honourable Dr. Prof, Deputy Executive Director, ASEAN University Network, AUN, Deputy Vice Chancellor of UKM, representative from Embassy of Republic of Indonesia, distinguished guests, UKM senior officers, participants and students. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera and good morning. We would like to extend our gratitude to our Lord for the blessings as we are able to be here at this prestigious event today, the opening ceremony of 15th ASEAN University Network 4th ASEAN+3 Educational Forum and Young Speakers Contest, with main topic on developing ASEAN+3 economic integrated community, issues on gender equality, minority groups and persons with disabilities. The extended warm welcome also goes to all guests for the presence to the official opening of this event. We would also like to prolong our cordially welcome to all participants from other regional countries who will actively involve in knowledge transformation and sharing ideas in this forum. Well, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we would like to invite His Honourable Dr. Chodis Giratiti to convey his welcoming address and the overview of this program. Please welcome.
Datuk Dr. Noor Azlan Ghazali, Vice Chancellor of UKM, His Excellency Vanu Gopala Menon, High Commissioner of the High Commission of the Republic of Singapore, Honourable members of the Diplomatic Corps of the ASEAN+3 member states, participants and delegates from 26 universities of the 11 ASEAN+3 countries. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the ASEAN University Network, or the AUN, it is indeed a great pleasure to welcome all the participants of the 15th AUN and the 4th ASEAN+3 Educational Forum and Young Speaker Contest. I would like to take this great opportunity to express our sincerest appreciation to University Kebangsaan Malaysia, headed by its generous Vice Chancellor, for the readiness and cooperation in hosting the event. Also to the organizing committee, staff and student liaison, who have put their utmost effort to make sure that our stay in Malaysia will be an unforgettable one. The faculty members of the participating universities across 11 countries are also worth the word of appreciation. This year, as we are about to face the overarching realities of the ASEAN Community 2015 launching, it is a great opportunity to discuss on the issues that most of the time neglected or overlooked. As everyone is getting excited, particularly the business sectors, as we open a single market for ASEAN Economic Community or the AEC. There are still some sectors of the society whose voices are not heard or well represented in the discussion platform of the region. As we also include our partners from China, Japan and Korea, it is a great opportunity for all participating member states to discuss on the issues that also need attention. This year's theme focuses on 3 elements that will help develop an AEC with a more holistic approach. We will be discussing on the issues of gender equality, minority groups, and persons with disabilities. These particular groups of society that often left behind on the policy decisions. Therefore, as we are about to embark on a single community, our mindset and goal should be the development and creation of an inclusive and people-oriented society. To give you a little bit of a background, Educational Forum and Young Speaker Contest is an AUN youth platform that encourages discussion on issues that are relevant to the region and to showcase what the youth of ASEAN+3 think about it. Most importantly, as the youth being the future of the region, it's only important to hear what the youth of today have to say and how they can help improve the region. The 6-day event comprises the following activities. There will be 2 main activities altogether. First, the annual speakers contest. Contestants from each university will deliver their speech and viewpoint on the theme to demonstrate that capability is public speaking. We will be having an elimination round which will take place tomorrow to select the top 6 finalists that will compete for the final round on Wednesday. The second part of the activity is the Educational Forum. This is a platform for students to express youth opinion on behalf of their countries. Participants will act in the simulation model of the ASEAN+3 Summit. The ASEAN+3 Summit is an official policy-making body that includes the heads of states and senior officials from ASEAN and +3 countries. Results from the presentation and discussion that is achieved during the forum will be presented in the form of ASEAN+3 Youth Joint Statement, and it will be submitted to the senior official meeting on youth or SOMI through the AUN Secretariat. In addition to the forum and young speaker contest, our participants will be having multicultural activities and networking with friends from different ASEAN+3 countries. It's a good opportunity for you to enjoy the diversity and uniqueness of Asian region. This will hope that our participants can use this useful time to get to know each other better and understand the variety of culture in the region. Lastly, I sincerely hope that the bridge of friendship you have built at the forum will last, and that the network of cooperation among the youth of ASEAN+3 countries will bring about the development of a people-oriented and holistic East Asian community. Once again, thank you very much and good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you, Dr. Chotis Diratiti. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the awaited moment has arrived. Now it gives us great pleasure to invite Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Noor Azlan Ghazali, Vice Chancellor, to officiate the event and present his keynote. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning. His Excellency Mr. Banu Gopala Menon, High Commissioner, Republic of Singapore, Honorable Dr. Choltis Diratiti, Deputy Executive Director, ASEAN University Network, Deputy Vice Chancellors, all of them are here. May I introduce very quickly Professor Datin Azia, in charge of the Students and Alumni Affairs, Professor Mazlin, Datuk Mazlin, in charge of the Research and Innovation, and then Professor Datuk Riza, in charge of the Academic and International Affairs, and Professor Imran, in charge of the Industry and Community Relations. And also deans of the faculty and also representative. I saw Dean Hazita somewhere there. Okay, Dean Hazita is. You see the flyers up there in front there. The brochures of the new program, Masters of Social Sciences in East Asian Studies, actually hosted by Dean Hazita's faculty. Also, representative of the embassies. I met representative of Republic of Indonesia, right in front there, Bapak, silakan. Distinguished guests, UKM senior officers, and definitely the most important part of this program, the participants and students from partner universities that are attending our program today. If I may quickly, I will be very casual, His Excellency. I just want to quickly list out the names of the partners universities who are involved, and if you are in the room, you may stand up very quickly. University Brunei Darussalam, Beijing Foreign Studies University, Beijing, Guizhou University, China, Yunnan University, China, Universitas Gajah Mada, Indonesia, Universitas Indonesia, UI, Kyoto University, Japan, Nagasaki University, Japan, Waseda University, Japan. Oh, I like to read this list. This is part of my keynote at that time. Royal University of Phnom Penh, Yangon University of Economics, Myanmar, University Malaya, Malaysia. Of course, this one I read last, University Kebangsaan. De La Salle University, Philippines. Ateneo de Manila University, Philippines. Singapore Management University, Singapore. National University of Singapore. Budapest University, Thailand. Chulalongkorn University, Thailand. Mahidol University, Thailand. Prince of Songkla University, Thailand. Vietnam National University, Hanoi. Canselor University, Vietnam. Vietnam National University, Ho Chi Minh City. And of course, University Kebangsaan, Malaysia. I think partly, I don't know if the media, here, this is already an evidence that Malaysia is very serious about sharing the ASEAN economic community, and also UKM, more importantly, are very serious about ASEAN, and ASEAN is so dear to us. I think ASEAN+3, to say it rightly, I think this is a great assembly of members and communities of ASEAN+3. Alhamdulillah that we are all here today for this opening ceremony of the 15th AUN and 4th ASEAN+3 Educational Forum and Young Speakers Contest. Selamat datang, that's welcome, and welcome to UKM. It is indeed a happy occasion to see the gatherings of ASEAN+3 members on our campus. We have gathered over 44 students and 17 faculty members from this growing region of the world. Thank you for coming to Malaysia and to UK. We are very honored to host this prestigious event, indeed especially at the beginning of 2015. Actually, my plan today, this morning, is that I will go through with the officiation, and at the same time, interchangeably, it will be a part of my keynote address. So there is, it will not be two parts of it. Because ASEAN and ASEAN+3 is so dear to me, His Excellency. Back in 1997, 98, at that time I was in the Faculty of Economics and Business. I initiated a program, Knowing ASEAN. In the early days of where people talk about the integration of ASEAN economies. And a group of students in the international business, so I worked with them, and the first thing I told them is that you cannot just stay in Bangi, in these localities, and understand the world. So you have to go out and to understand the world more by experiencing it yourself. And a couple of students came to me and said that, okay, we want to go to Tokyo, we want to go to Sydney, all the so-called large cities, metropolitans and so on. And I told them that no, in this program, we will first go to the ASEAN nations. So everybody was a bit shocked at that time because, well, what do you have in ASEAN? So I managed to do 4 consecutive years of visiting ASEAN nations with a group of students, of course in a very humble way. The first trip that we took is to go to Bangkok. And students, those days, at that time there is no AirAsia yet, nothing like that. So we go on the train. It is my most wonderful trip on the train. From Butterworth all the way to Bangkok, which is about almost a day trip. And along the way, you already learn a lot about Bangkok, about Thailand, because it stops into various places and so on. We went all the way to Kanchanaburi. I went to Kanchanaburi. I saw the River Kwai myself. I went there, and then very interesting. Of course, we go also on the floating markets and so on. And then the next year we go to Myanmar. Chenuti Made. Can you respond on that, right? All right, okay. But don't forget, when you are in Myanmar, the word K is pronounced C. So it's not Kya, it's Chat. So that's at least the least that I learned. We went to we are the first group that went to the Central Bank of Myanmar. We were hosted by the Minister of Finance then. And then we went also to the Ministry of Trade. And there's one, the one that have a sleeping Buddha, about 1 or 3 hours, 2 hours trip from Myanmar. And then I went to Indonesia. Indonesia probably to many of our Malaysians is something that they are so used to. But actually Indonesia, by going there and visiting and staying there is more important. For Indonesia, there are 2 parts of it. One is that we went to Indonesia, we went to visit always the visits is going to the universities, to the industries, to the government agencies and socio-historical parks. We went, for example, to Prambanan, we went to Bandung's clothing industries and various other places. But, and then the year after that, we went to Vietnam. You see how ASEAN I am? I went to Vietnam. These are the days that people do not travel in ASEAN. So we went to Vietnam. I went all the way to the Halong Bay, and saying how beautiful is Halong Bay. I feel like everybody must go to Halong Bay and to experience one of the so-called, I think it's part of the UNESCO's wonders of the world. That you see like something like formation, something like Batu Caves, but it is in the sea. And the good thing is that you can camp there, you go on the boat, the small boat will come next to you, and they show all the prawns, all the traps, and right away you catch it and then you cook on the boat. So that is about me and ASEAN. And then come me and ASEAN+3. I then involved with the ASEAN+3 research group. Interestingly, all the works are funded by our colleagues from the +3, Japan, Korea, as well as China. And so 4 years in a row, I work on research programs on the integration of ASEAN+3. So we had meeting in China, in Beijing, in Korea, in Seoul, and Japan, and so on. And that my journey of ASEAN+3 does not stop there. I finally decided that I must have the chance of going there in one of the cities and stay there. So I end up spending my sabbatical, few months, in the Central Bank of Indonesia. So now aku bisa cakap Indonesia, Pak. Kamu nggak bisa jadi apa lagi. You know, I mean, I stayed there because I feel like a lot of Indonesians a lot of Malaysians claim that they know Indonesians. But I want to stand up here, Bapak, to say that actually no. We only see a tiny part of Indonesia. You know, so I stayed in Cikini. I stayed right in front of the Cikini station, and then, you know, staying there for a few months. I, you know, always try to go to the markets. I went all the way to Parangtritis, you know, and I went and I interacted. I stayed there. I talked. I interact with the people at BI and Bank Indonesia, and also people at Bapenas, and then visiting places there, you know. And now that I know that I maybe before that know less than 1%. Now I know maybe 1.1%. I still got another 98.9% to spend about ASEAN. So this is something so dear to me, and I again would like to welcome all of you to University Kebangsaan Malaysia. We are quickly the counterpart of NUS, the counterpart of UI, universities, and most of the universities that I read just now, all of these universities, I think almost all of them, if not all, at least 90% of them, are universities that we are having relationships. You know, we engage the universities, we work together with the universities, and so on. So we are deeply honored to once again be given the opportunity to work with the ASEAN University Network, AUN. Thank you very much. Collaboration, and our last collaboration was with AUN, was during the ASEAN Korea Alumni Assembly last year with Daejeon University. I attended the meeting in Cebu, and after that, because I made a lot of noise in the meeting, so they gave me more loads. So they told me that I am in the team to craft the post-Brunei declarations of the AUN's the ASEAN University Network, and I was in Bangkok in Chulalongkorn as well, discussing that frame of AUN for the post-Brunei declarations. And for the past years, we have had various students exchange programs, both inbound and outbound mobility programs under the AUN. Thank you very much. As we all know, this year is an important year for ASEAN. With the realization of ASEAN Community 2015, holding on strongly to three pillars: political security, economic and socio-cultural. These blueprints aim at positioning ASEAN stronger in the global scene. As the nations are gearing up to the closure of the 2015 milestones, the ASEAN community is also gearing up for more challenges beyond 2015. We believe in realizing and exceeding the true potential of ASEAN together with our fellow counterparts. So allow me to divert a little bit, sharing a little bit about ASEAN, as interchange between the welcoming address and also my keynote. See, ASEAN is a collective of these 10 nations. Way back, we started in 1967, is it right? Am I right? 67. Because I remember the birthday of my wife is so close to ASEAN birthday. So every time I celebrate my wife's birthday, then I know that ASEAN's birthday is coming in about 2 days after that. So the way I look at ASEAN is that, you know, it is interesting because we have a collective of nations. Geographically, we are, it is all about geography. Geographically, we are close, but from other dimensions, we probably have various levels of progress and development. You know, sometimes we say that don't compare apples and oranges, right? In ASEAN as well, as much as I've been involved in the ASEAN processes in various platforms, I always see there are 3 parts of ASEAN. Basically, probably the first 4 of ASEAN nations, including then Brunei coming in, that are a bit more, you know, ahead. We have countries like Singapore in many of the international rankings, competitiveness, and so on. We are so proud to see Singapore as one of the ASEAN nations, one of the leading world nations in terms of the efficiency of the economy and various other dimensions, always up there, number 1, number 2 in the world. You look at the IMD, you know, report, World Competitiveness report in various ways. We are so proud because it is so near to us. You know, when you are sitting near to someone who are very competitive, then the next thing to do is yourself has to be competitive. You know, so that's the good thing about being near to someone that are smart. That's why some universities that are ahead, well-advanced universities, reputable universities of the world, you know, you see that, for example, University of Chicago has produced about 30 Nobel laureates. Why? Because they have many Nobel laureates near them, and chances are more Nobel laureates will be produced from there. And then we have Malaysia, Thailand, you know, and this group of more larger nations, economically coming forward. And then we have the CLMV, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. And having gone through all these 3 nations, I can see that it is very interesting because we have almost like 3 classes of economies in the country. So you don't have to go too far to understand the world. Because by one part of ASEAN is advanced nation, the other part is developing nations, the other part is nations that are still climbing up and struggling with some of the problems of development. So it is a good case study for economists like me and also for many of you who, whatever areas that you are working on. And ASEAN, is a very large economy. We are about 600 million now. I remember that the good thing is that it seems like the birth rate in total in ASEAN is still picking up very good. I know that some countries are having a very low birth rate, but I remember that sometimes that we talk about 500 million, now we talk about 600 million, and let's see how many more that ASEAN can produce in a couple of years ahead. Because the more people that you have, chances are the more economic activities that you can create. These days, as you see, that the coming of the new emerging nations, like, we always talk about BRICS, Brazil, Russia, China, and India, and people talk even about South Africa. One common thing that you see in each new so-called powerful economy, large-size economies, is that they have a large populations. So it's very important to be able to congregate nations that are in the neighborhood, in the same neighborhood, so that we can create these so-called markets and so on. And just very quickly, we know about these 3 pillars. But the most important thing is that we always talk, the one that always appears in our discussion is more about the economies. Recently the UNDP released the Human Development Reports. I would urge everyone to read that reports. Of course, there are many other reports that are interesting. But as an economist, we in Malaysia as well, I believe that in many countries in the neighboring regions, you also face this problem. Everybody is striving for growth. But the first enemy of growth is that it will create gaps. Growth can easily, if you don't plan it right, it will be like a train that are moving so fast, but there are communities in that particular region, in that particular state, who will not be able to get on the train. In short, that's what it means by all these so-called inequalities, gaps, leaving behind, left behind, marginalized, and so on. It is not a policy, it is not an intended policy, but it is what we call as the unintended outcomes of growth. Therefore, there must be enough group of people to be able to attend these dimensions of gaps or being left behind. And I believe that the topics of your discussion today will be along this line. I mean, you are in the context of talking about the youth, the disabled, women's, gender issues, and so on. Well, which is a very important part of in addressing this issue of gaps. And in the UNDP, in the most recent report, the Human Development Report, they talk about one is in terms of the vulnerabilities. Now, countries like Malaysia, I will share a bit more about Malaysia. Yes, our income as a whole is upper middle. I mean, we are in the range of the upper middle income. We are visioning to become, income of a high income economies. But if you slice in the economy, you start to see that there are gaps issues. I mean, I'm quite involved with the policies, economic progress in the country. But what sometimes I tend to conclude, His Excellency, is that, one of the main hurdles of growth, of advancing the nation, it's not about you a lack of technologies. It's not about you a lack of funds, or funding. It's not about your lack of infrastructure. But one of the main hurdles of growth is that the fact that there are groups in the countries that are left behind. Because they are the one who will come to the front and keep on asking you whether this growth is good. Malaysia's Vision 2020 are calling for Malaysia to become a developed nation, high-income economies by 2020. But we also have our own problems. I believe that it is also a problem of many parts of the world. In the UNDP's report, it says that a big chunk of the world's population today are still living under the certain level of income which can give them a good life. One is about vulnerable, the other one is about resilience. Sometimes today, many economies has lifted up. In Malaysia, honestly, you can reflect this to your country, but in Malaysia, the level of poverty is very low. We almost can declare that we are out of poverty. Just like when economies talk zero unemployment, full employment, what it means is that there are about 3% unemployment. So when you talk about you are get out of poverty, probably still you will always have about, maybe like Malaysia, we have about 1.7% of the households are in that level. But we have a big chunk of our economy which is they are above poverty line, they are above the medium income line, but they are still yet to go to the level that will assure them to be resilient. So these are the groups that are very vulnerable. Any shocks in the world can pull them down back. Take, for example, the very unfortunate calamities that we are having now, floodings. The major flood that we are experiencing in our country now, easily it can pull back a group of households, a large number of households back into poverty. In 2007 and 2008, when the world economy is experiencing this high price of petroleum and high price of food, billions of people are turning back from income. They are already at a certain level of income, but they are pulled back to be grouped under the category of this poverty. So we have to make sure that in ASEAN, when we talk about progress, we have to make sure that the other dimension, for example, the security, the social dimension of it is also well taken care of. Sometimes there's no point of becoming rich if you are not living in a peaceful place. You can imagine that you are creating your own prisons because you are so rich, the rest are so poor, then everybody is coming after you. So you better put that fence surrounding your house, build a large mansion, but you can hardly see things outside. Those days criminals are being put in the jail, but now the rich men are creating their own jail. So we have to think about this three dimension of the ASEAN community, the economic side, and then the security side, as well as the social culture side. We have to make sure that our cultures are well preserved. We know where we come from, our origins, our history, so that we will not be losing out by in the progress, and suddenly 20 years down the line, we have no idea what actually truly ASEAN's are. We have to make sure that we keep it. That's why sometimes you can enjoy hip hops, but not too much hip hops. Last night there is an annual, how do you call it in English? Anugerah Juara Lagu. If you noticed last night, the whole nation was silent 8:30 onward because there is a live. Annually we have the best songs in the country. Sorry to say, I'm not someone who can comment much about music. But a lot of friends were texting among friends. Well, these are out of my VC's life, They say that why let this song to be the first one, number one, because it's very hip hop. And the other guy when they're singing like more like the Americans, all these raps and so on. We don't see much Malaysian there. We try to envision that 20 years down the line. Is that all what we're going to hear on the radios and so on? So younger generations, please preserve your culture and all the singing, the nice singings of ASEAN. So we talk about this ASEAN economic community. Of course, I remember that during the time of the East Asian crisis in 97-98. There is a discussion about, can we have a one currency for ASEAN? Just be like the European Union. Everybody was rushing to be like EU, to have one currency, Euro. And I remember that we had interactions with a group of economists from the EU, and they were telling us that, okay, we do this over 50 years. Don't try, and over 50 years, there are so many accidents along the way. To get you to one single currency is easier said than done. So you have to really consider whether do you have all those, in the right track, economy of the same standing and so on. So these are among the challenges within the economic community. I look forward in Malaysia. For us, we look forward seriously about the economic community and see to what extent that the gain that we have from this economic community. So now the theme for this year's assemblies, I go a little bit into the and then I'll cut it short there. The theme of this year's assembly, developing ASEAN+3 economic integrated community, issue on gender equality, minority groups and persons with disabilities. This is the group of communities that I mentioned earlier. As an integrated regional community, we should all focus on the issue of equality to all of the ASEAN+3 people, in spite of gender, ethnic group and of their capabilities. Youth has been elevated as a priority area in the blueprints, particularly in youth volunteerism and youth employment, recognizing the importance of young entrepreneurs and the role of youth in shaping ASEAN's future. So, for the case of UKM, I'm proud to share with you that for the last 2 years, we are hosting the ASEAN Youth Volunteer Program, AYBhg. We have a very thematic program. The first group, about 100 students from ASEAN nations, working through the ASEAN Secretariats and the Ministry of Tourism, and also the Ministry of Youth and Sport. They assembled in UKM and with a thematic program, and then we send them throughout places in Malaysia for the case of the eco-ASEAN, meaning that in terms of the environmental sustainability. The year after that, which is last year, we have again the AYBhg program on our campus. Interestingly, it had participations of many ASEAN nations, and the theme for last year was on heritage. So students were brought and been shown about the multicultural part of Malaysia. They went to the Petaling Street, where the so-called KL's kind of, dance of more Chinese tradition. They went to Brickfields. In Brickfields, Malaysia is already truly Asia, but still within that, we still have kind of a little bit of Chinatown, a little bit of Indian, Little India. If you went to Brickfields, you will see a Little India. And then they also went to Malacca to see the Portuguese tradition and so on and so on. So we are very happy with these collaborations of ours with the youth, and to introduce the youth to the ASEAN nation. Education and welfare, again, a very important part of the ASEAN progress, to make sure that ASEAN can really moving forward. Education is a very critical part of the assuring that the region will be moving forward. As for the future of ASEAN, the youth will be playing a very crucial role in voicing and ensuring that everyone, especially those belonging to the marginalized sectors, would benefit from all the economic development and transformation. All of us here in UKM and Malaysia are committed towards development of our youth in playing a strong role in the society. UKM takes the relationship with ASEAN+3 members very seriously. We have established MOUs with many ASEAN+3 nations, universities, like Universities of Indonesia and US, Mahido, SIAS International University in China, Tsukuba University in Japan. We went to, in fact, the university that I mentioned, all of this, we have strong partnership with them. Waseda University, we have a strong entrepreneurship program with them. Kyoto University, very interesting. We have a very strong ties with Kyoto University in the Islamic civilization programs. In fact, they have a very strong Japanese professors there who are studying Islamic civilization and issues related to the Muslim nations. And these collaborations have allowed us not only to participate in various student action programs, but also to join forces in research and development and smart partnership. We are so proud of this relationship. Our partners in Philippines, in fact, we also involved in the last 2 years. We hold the presidency of the ASEAN University Association of University of the Asia Pacific, and this year SIAS University is taking up the leadership from us, and a professor from Aquino de Manila University is now the secretary of AUAP. All in all, we are honored to host these programs. We hope that each and every one of you will be able to gain great insight throughout these events. The Education Forum and the Young Speakers Contest, among others, will be able to provide a platform for all the students to share their views and develop themselves to be future leaders. We would like to thank all of you, because all of you who are present today has strengthened of our ties of ASEAN+3. With that note, ladies and gentlemen, I hereby officiate the event 15th AUN and 4th ASEAN+3 Educational Forum and Young Speakers Contest, and good luck to all the participants. So thank you very much.
We welcome your arrival at University Kebangsaan Malaysia. A big applause to our guests, Brunei, Cambodia, China, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. Welcome to Malaysia and enjoy your stay in University Kebangsaan Malaysia.
As a sign of remembrance, we respectfully invite Professor Datuk Dr. Azlan and Dr. Tortis Diratiti to exchange the token of appreciation between UKM and AUN. Well, thank you. Until we meet again.